Today on episode 98 of Rail Talk, we react to a phenomenal Haskell day on Saturday at Monmouth. Look forward to the Jim Dandy and break John's chops about not being here for episode 98. He's taken off, I think, till episode 100. It's something in his contract. I'm Joe Bianca. I'm an ownership advisor at West Point Thoroughbreds, joined by a very special guest today, Samantha Perry, analyst at Gulfstream Park. Sam, you recently had a birthday. The people want to know, what does the Princess of American Racing do for her birthday?
Sleeps and eats and works at Gulfstream. That's it. And no, John did not get better looking. It's just me subbing in, which I'm always thankful to carry that torch while he's gone. We miss him, but we have more fun without him.
That's true. Let's start the show. The opinions expressed on Rail Talk are those of hosts Joe Bianca and John Green and do not reflect those of anybody we work with or work for. Rail Talk is sponsored by TaylorMade. Go check them out at tailormadefarm.com, that beautiful website. You can learn about when you're with them, your family, when it comes to sales, stallions, boarding, partnerships. They do it all. Their depth and their breadth of knowledge is unmatched in this industry. They obviously are known very well for their yearling consignments. So go check them out with the Saratoga sale in less than 2 weeks. They got 2 full barns of yearlings that they'll be selling at the sale. So definitely go get involved and do some scouting. They'll tell you about how the horses were raised and the people and the families behind them, because they just have those relationships so steeped in the business, and that comes from decades of being one of the most reliable, trusted names in racing and in breeding. And don't want to be remiss, let's talk about Not This Time. It's always a great time to talk about Not This Time because he has major success on the racetrack pretty much every week. But this past weekend, he got his 50th stakes winner when No Time won the Woodbine Oaks for friend of the show, Mark Cassey and Gary Barber. Sounds like the filly might take on the boys in the King's Plate coming up. But No Time, the 50th stakes winner for Not This Time. It feels like just yesterday he was running in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and it's just been an unbelievable rise to watch. He's at the top of that stallion roster and one of the top stallions in the entire business with good reason. His horses can do it all: turf, dirt, short, long. He's just the man, and it's he's worth going to see. By the way, if you're in Kentucky and you want to go tour the farm, he's a gorgeous horse, and he's just his rise is unparalleled and pretty much can be measured up against any stallion that we've seen in the last 25 years. But it's not just him. The entire stallion roster is just teeming with potential. So you can learn more at tailormadefarm.com or tailormadestallions.com. So we had the Naira Bets Haskell on Saturday. John and I spent all last week basically waxing poetic about Monmouth Park and how much fun it is and how you're missing out if you don't go down there. And lo and behold, they had super attendance, the highest since 2015. We're not going to take all the credit, but Monmouth had 41,876 people through the gates on Saturday. Helped that it was a beautiful day. Helped that you had some star power, I'm sure, with journalism. And journalism did it again. Just ran down Gosger and goal-oriented in the shadow of the wire. Man, I always think about this quote from Richie Migliore. He was talking about like Joel Rosario on turf sprinters and how he's always such a dangerous closer. And he was like, when you're on the lead and Joel's behind you, you might as well be hearing the Jaws theme get louder and louder and louder as he starts to reel you in. And I think about that with journalism just because like he just keeps coming and coming and coming. And I think you got to be so sick if you're a Gosger fan or better or owner or trainer or whatever, that this was just such a carbon copy to me of the Preakness. The only difference was that goal-oriented was close as well and also ran a big race. But man, people want to say that like journalism was ducking the big horses in the Jim Dandy. This is a grade 1. You don't duck a grade 2 and then go to a grade 1 and then win the race. He obviously is a superstar, and we're very lucky to have him and Sovereignty at this 3-year-old and at the top of this 3-year-old class. Sam, what were your impressions from the Haskell?
Well, you have to give like a golf clap to his connections first off, because the fact that he's shown up to every single major 3-year-old race, there's something to be said for that. And I think that a lot of people, there was some discourse, he just ran down Gosger, he just ran down goal oriented. Well, who else is there to run down? I think that you can't take anything away from him. He's shipped coast to coast and back and forth all within the span of the last 5 months, and he's still able to do that. And it's not like he broke perfect either. He was very flat-footed out of there. But I think in watching that race and kind of just the carbon copy, like you said, a little less eventful Preakness, I think if journalism has a horse to run down in front of him, he doesn't lose. The 2 times he's lost to Sovereignty, he's made the first move on Sovereignty, and he gets out there and then Sovereignty runs him down. I bet that there's going to be some different tactics the next time that they match up. I would love to see him run down Sovereignty.
Yeah, and like you said, who are they ducking? The only horse you could say that the biggest horse that you could say is in this race is Sovereignty. Obviously, you got a couple other nice horses, including Sandman, the Jim Dandy, which we'll get to. But this is a grade one. He shipped across the country. He had to run hard throughout the entire stretch. It's not like this was like some public workout where he was 1-5 and all he had to do was not fall down. He had to go and win that race, and he keeps doing it. And like you said, I think it's so important, like in an era of horses who just don't run enough, frankly, for a horse like this who shows up, dances every dance. So I'll pose this question to you, Sam. Like, this is an interesting debate now between whether or not he comes back and tries Sovereignty again for a third time in the Travers, assuming he ends up there, or do you stay home and you take on Elders in the Pacific Classic? Obviously, we don't know what that field is going to look like. I think a lot of it depends on how Nysos runs this Saturday in the San Diego. But if you put you in charge, Sam, he's your sole property and sole purpose in this world. What do you do with journalism next?
I would go to Travers. I would.
Okay.
I think that there's something to be said about staying in your own backyard, but taking on older horses when you don't have to, even if he might. I mean, there's so many unknowns, and yeah, there could be some deflections from the race or defections from the race where we don't get to see Nysos or et cetera, et cetera. But I bet they'll just keep an eye on that. But I'd like to stay with 3-year-olds at least while you can.
I think it's I honestly would go the other way just because I think the goal should be at this point to win an Eclipse Award.
Yeah.
And considering that he's 0 for 2 head to head against Sovereignty, and if he stays home and wins the Pacific Classic, now he's got a grade 1 win against Elders, which Sovereignty does not have. And then just in general, like I'm one of the remarkable things about journalism beyond the fact that he shows up every single race is how well he takes shipping, because he's gone back and forth and just hasn't seemed to take anything out of him. I just wonder how many times you want to squeeze that lemon, because now he goes all the way back to Santa Anita, going to have to ship again to go to the Travers. I would stay home and run the Pacific Classic just because I don't know that there's going to be any monsters there. But it's an interesting debate.
Like, he's still so unbattle tested, I feel like, then that's a good point. And I think that they'll continue to monitor that. But it's not like in the past few months I've seen any killers from California that are old in the older division, at least.
Yeah, and journalism does not, for all of his experience out west, he does not have a ton of experience at Del Mar. He had the 2 races last summer, but now also you get a chance to have a race over the track that the Breeders' Cup Classic is going to be on. So if you run well in the Pacific Classic, maybe you got a little bit of home court advantage when Sovereignty and the other 3-year-olds come west for the Breeders' Cup. But it's an interesting debate, and I just love how sporting that they've been with journalism, and I don't want to hear any nonsense about how they were ducking anybody. They shipped all the way across the country to run in a $1 million grade 1 with some real horses in it. And I thought it was he is, and it was a really hard-nosed effort. And I just want to give a hat tip to Monmouth. Sam, have you ever been to Monmouth?
Have I ever been to Monmouth? Is that a real question?
What, were you born there or something?
That was my first on-air gig.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. And I remember that now.
It was me and Brad Thomas. And yeah, it was amazing. That's where I cut my teeth. They took a shot on me when I had no experience at all. And they put up with me. God bless them. And I was there for 2 years, 2 seasons, 2 years.
Damn, I got to read Sam's Wikipedia page again before I have her on the show again next time. So yeah, I'm curious, like what you think, because this was the 3rd straight year of significant attendance increase. 2 years ago, they had a little over 35,000. Last year, they had 38,976. This year, they had 41,876, which, as I mentioned, was the highest attendance total since American Pharaoh ran in the Haskell in 2015, which is obviously an outlier. The handle was good. It was just under 20, it was like a few dollars under 22 million, which was higher than last year's total. 2.1 million was wagered on track at Monmouth. Sam, it's a very, very unique place and a special place. What are some of the things that you think still bring people to the track at Monmouth in a way that they don't really go to the track at a lot of other places?
I think that it's just the atmosphere of like spending the summer on the shore, and they've really just branded that. And also it's a luxury, right? In the summertime, it's not something that you can go to all the time. Whereas tracks that run year round, they're always there. And I think it kind of can sometimes lose its glamour a little bit. And just everybody knows it's around the same weekend every single year, like clockwork there at the Jersey Shore. And they do a good job, Monmouth does, at the festivals that they bring to. And yeah, they may not be like getting there might be more $2 bettors than big handicappers, or big gamblers, but at least it's something. They're bringing people through the door. And I think as a racing community, yes, it's so important. We need people to be gambling and wagering, but we need more fans of the sport. And I feel like Monmouth does a very good job at just bringing the heart and soul into the racing side of it.
And a lot of young people too. And I was there for Haskell Day last year. There was a lot of people in their 20s dressed to the nines. And it's like, this is the lightning in the bottle that we need to capture and duplicate across the country. So yeah, shout out to everybody at Monmouth. We had John Himes on the show last week. Shout out to him and Dennis Drazen and the whole crew at Monmouth, because they do an unbelievable job. And it's good to see them rewarded with a big day of racing, a tremendous renewal of the Haskell, and great business on the betting side. So shout out to the team at Monmouth Park. Looking forward already to next year's Haskell. Rail Talk is sponsored by Epic Insurance Brokers, one of the nation's top retail insurance brokers, providing expertise across key lines of insurance, including property and casualty, employee benefits, and unique specialty insurance. Our guy, our homie, our brother, Chris Moore, leads Epic's equine specialty practice. You can see him at the sales, at the races, etc. He owns horses himself. This is his passion. This is his life. He'll be in Saratoga this summer. Be sure to catch him at the races or in the backstretch in the mornings. Yearling season is underway. Kicked off with the Fasig-Tipton July sale a couple of weeks ago. This is equine insurance renewal season. If you buy yearlings and your insurance policy doesn't renew between July 1st and October 31st, you are leaving money on the table. Call Chris, text Chris, get the conversation started at 317-650-4519. He takes a page out of the book of our buddy, our patron, our brethren, our godfather, Len Green, and he guarantees that he'll find you value from this consultation. Beyond that, he's just a great hang and very knowledgeable about the business. Give Chris a call or a text, and that leads us to this week's
Epic Performance of the Week.
Is it coming from up above?
I think that's where the booming voiceover guy lives, in my ceiling. I've yet to be proven wrong about that. But this week's Epic Performance of the Week, just off of the heels, talking about what a great day it was at Monmouth Park, Haskell Day, our beloved New Jersey staple, goes to another beloved New Jersey staple, Bookham Danno. Bookham Danno, the most famous New Jersey bred since John Green. 4-year-old gelding by Bucaro, had another phenomenal win in the Alfred G. Vanderbilt over the weekend at Saratoga. He loves Saratoga. He cruised to a 2.5 length victory, got a career high 111 buyer with Paco Lopez aboard, trained by Derek Ryan. They've pulled all the right strings with this horse. And, I assume they're going to go to the Forego and then eventually the Breeders' Cup Sprint. But it's just been so cool of a story to begin with. But just also to the way we've seen him get better and better from his 3-year-old season to his 4-year-old season. And now throughout his 4-year-old season, he just seems to improve with every race. Sam, what do you think of Bookham Danno's win on Saturday?
It was really impressive. You kind of wonder when they come off of such a big win across a sloppy track, how they're going to bounce back, and does it help them? Does it hurt them? And it made no difference to him because he just keeps on keeping on. And I think that Paco Lopez has done a fantastic job in piloting him. I think that his trainer, Derek Ryan, has done such a phenomenal job at managing him. I mean, you talk about, Joe, his 3-year-old to his 4-year-old year, how he has gotten better. And honestly, since they figured out, okay, an offspring of Bucaro, yeah, maybe we're not going to be a Kentucky Derby horse. And so they waited and they just kept him at those short distances, the 1-turn mile. And now look at him. He's just a top class sprinter, and he's hardy and he's healthy, and it's awesome.
Yeah, he's so good. And some of these times, like 114-3 for 6.5 furlongs in True North, 108, a little under 109 for the Alfred Vanderbilt. You don't see a lot of 108 6 furlong times at Saratoga. He ran 120 flat at Colonial, and he's going to take some beating now, in that sprint division, especially now that Mindframe, who beat him in the Churchill Downs Stakes, now is stretching out and is going to be going 2 turns. Nysos is going to stretch out and go 2 turns. So they're going to have to really reel him in for champion sprinter. But hat tip to the Bookham Danno team and all the New Jersey breds that we know and love. Bookham Danno, this week's epic performance of the week. Rail Talk is sponsored, as always, by the Green Group, the #1 accounting firm in the horse business. There's one reason they're at the top of the list. No other CPA firm knows the horse industry like they do. Len and DJ have over 200 horses. And breaking news, 2,600 wins. They got it. 2,600th win for DJ Stable came last week in the same race that Mark Cassidy got his 4,000th win. So 2 tips of the cap, if I were in 2 caps right now, to 2 legends in the game, Len Green and Mark Cassidy. And I guess John gets a shout out too. Back to the Green Group. They have almost 1,000 clients in the horse business because they make them money and save them taxes. And as always, there's a special offer for listeners of Rail Talk. You can call Len up and get a half-hour confidential, complimentary consultation where Len will help you save taxes for 2026. Or if you filed an extension, maybe for 2025, call him up at, what's that number? Michael Agresta.
73263455100. Green Group.
Or go to greenco.com. Once again, Len guarantees he'll find you value and savings. But you don't have to take it from me. Take it from yet another satisfied Green Group client, Lauren Carlisle.
My name is Lauren Carlisle. I have a bloodstock company and I help DJ Stable pick out horses at the sales, 2-year-olds and yearlings. Meeting Len and getting to know him the last 2 years has been one of the greatest things that's happened to me in the last 2 years. Efficiency, knowledge, everyone I've worked with at the firm, Carlene, Jack, Donna, everybody has been very professional, very knowledgeable, makes me feel very comfortable. I don't ask stupid questions. They don't make me feel like I ask stupid questions about my taxes. And you can tell that they care and they're very thorough with the way that they do their work. So I appreciate that. Since they understand the horse business, I can tell them, parts that I'm involved with and not really have to explain what that is in detail because they already know most of everything about it. And so they know the avenues on the tax side and how to save money and, maybe I have a write-off I'm not aware of, and very easy to do that with them since they're very knowledgeable. I would absolutely recommend the Green Group, 100%. I love everybody that works there that I've worked with, so absolutely.
Thank you, Lauren. And thank you, Len and the Green Group. Appreciate you guys. Congratulations on DJ Stable's 2,600th win. And congratulations, obviously, on all the continued success for the accounting firm. If you aren't using the Green Group, you're leaving money on the table. Call them up at 732-634-5100 or go to greenco.com. So we had a major 3-year-old stake over the weekend on Saturday at Monmouth, and we got another big one coming right around the corner this Saturday at Saratoga. It's the $500,000 Grade 2 Jim Dandy Stakes, the local prep, obviously, for the Travers, going 1 1/8. Only drew 5 horses, but you do have the Derby winner, Sovereignty, and the Belmont winner, obviously, drawn outside. He's obviously going to be the horse to beat, going to be 2 to 5 or 3 to 5 in there. But, there you do have Baeza, who was only beaten a length and 3/4 by him in the Kentucky Derby. You do have our boy Sandman. And I know I'm a homer and John's a homer on this show, but, even putting that aside, I love the way he's been training and the way he looks, because we finally gave him like a little bit of a break. He was an old school horse. He ran 10 times between the end of June last year and mid-May this year. That's a lot on a developing horse, a 2-year-old into a 3-year-old. And I think it was the right decision because he has been a little bit immature. And I think he did need that seasoning to develop into the horse that he is. But just from looking at him, I think he's put on muscle. I think with the blinkers on, he's training with a lot better energy. We obviously have to all get around sovereignty, but I'm expecting a career best effort for Sandman on Saturday. Whether that's good enough, we'll see. But you got to take your shots in this game, and it's a short field. Sam, how do you see the Jim Dandy?
Yeah, well, just to piggyback off of the Sandman note, I think that first off, I really respect Mark Casse with what he did with Sandman. I think that blinkers can be a very overused tool with horses, and sometimes it's like you're trying to grasp at straws. And he did have some immaturity, like you said, and Mark Casse just continued to not change anything with him and let him get his surroundings, get his footing. And now, all right, let's put on blinkers. And you look at his works. If you look at the first TV that's got a couple of the works, I think the June 26th one, him solo with blinkers, he just has kind of turned into a different animal with them on. But I respect the fact that you guys left him off for so long, because that gives him that maturity that he needs.
Yeah, I mean, it's just good to give him, especially him, because his popularity, like, it's great and all, and I'm really happy that he's bringing some new eyes to the game, like a lot through Griffin. But I think having people in the barn all the time coming to visit him and feed him peppermints, which I'm sure he has no complaints about, but just having that many people around all the time, and the hoopla of the Derby and the Preakness, I think it's going to do wonders for him. I went and saw him at Belmont Park. He took a brief pit stop at Belmont before going up at Saratoga, and he was just standing there like, where are the rest of the people? And I think that was like that. It was a good reset for him, and I just can't wait to see him on Saturday. You know, like I said, they got to beat Sovereignty, but he ran those two big races. Maybe he regresses a little bit off of the Belmont, but it's obviously going to be an exciting race, if not a deep field. In terms of quantity. And that just gives me a little quick bee in my bonnet, if you want to throw up the graphic. Why do we need the Curlin Stakes? Like, what in what universe does it make sense to run 2 3-year-old restricted races at 1.125 miles, basically on the same weekend as each other? And I don't understand cannibalizing your own race like this. Like, the Jim Dandy is a historically important race. It's Jim Dandy Travers. That's always been the stepping stone to the Travers. Imagine running 1.25 mile race for 3-year-olds on Travers Day. Like, you would never do that in a million years. Yeah, you would never do it in a million years. And they kind of do the same thing on Preakness Day when they run the Sir Barton, but I feel like that's a little different because 3-year-olds, it's still early in their development. So maybe you do have some horses who can run in the Sir Barton who aren't ready to run in the Preakness. We're in the summer. We're in the second half of the year. There's no reason to have the Curlin Stakes and the Jim Dandy, and that's part of the reason I think you're getting a 5-horse field in here. It's quality, but not too much quantity. Anyway, we can take down the graphic. The bee's out of my bonnet on that one. But Sam, don't you agree? Like, are there so many redundant races like that on the calendar?
There are, and I feel like, well, there are people that say, "Oh, it's tradition," but there are some things that we can bend and move with. And we just don't have the 3-year-olds to fill races like that anymore. It's unfortunate, but it's where we are. So why not, nix that, put the money into one race instead? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just
any given day, something can happen. Like what? Well, look at Hades whenever he won the Holy Bull. I mean, he wasn't supposed to win that, but they took a shot with him and it paid off. I mean, anybody can not have their day. Like, sovereignty, nothing is like a for sure thing in horse racing. So if you're that afraid of sovereignty, you don't want to run in a race, what are you doing?
I mean, we can't give people that outlet, I don't think, and have a softer race basically on the same day pretty much as the Jim Dandy. So yeah, just a quick rant about can we do away with the Curlin Stakes? Also this weekend, I just wanted to touch real quick on the fact that we have Nysos running in the San Diego. I mentioned it earlier in the card. To me, he's in a handicap division that I think does not have any clear stars. You got some nice horses like Mindframe and like Sierra Leone and a few others. But to me, this handicap division, this older horse division, is begging for a superstar. And we'll get to see a little bit on Saturday if he is that superstar. He's going to go 2 turns in the mile and a 16th San Diego. Obviously, it would be a big step up then to go a mile and a quarter in the Pacific Classic. But Nysos was on the Derby trail last year. They had Kentucky Derby aspirations. I think they mainly brought him back on 7 furlongs this time around, just as kind of a little bit of a runway before he takes on the big dogs in the older male division. Sam, is this what's your take on, from a handicapping perspective, on horses like this? Because he's going to be a monster favorite, and probably 6 or 7 horses show up against him. Would you take him at a short price, or would you try to beat him on the stretch out?
I think that there's so many Bob Baffert horses that you can kind of tend to play against on the stretch out. Like, for instance, I was never a fan of Citizen Bull getting a distance at all. He just never trained like that. He never looked like that to me. But Nysos, there's just so much unknown with him that it's hard to say. And like you said, we'll find out a lot about him now as time goes on. But he is vulnerable, I think. And the problem with that is I just don't know if there's anybody else in California that has that class he does yet. Like, it might carry him this time, but in the Pacific Classic, it might be a different situation.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Like, he's going to be 2 to 5 in here, and he's going to be the most talented horse in the race. But yeah, I think the time to try to beat him is next time if he does go the mile and a quarter. Especially if journalism's in the race, because I think journalism will probably be a pretty significant second choice to him. Obviously, depending on what happens on Saturday, but definitely it's a race you want to see, because, like I said, we're dying for a horse to really step up and become that leader in the handicap division. One thing I just wanted to mention about Del Mar before we wrap up that chat is we had a couple of real late odds drops on Sunday, and this continues to be a real bugaboo for racing fans and handicappers and bettors, and it's a problem that is not easily solved, but I think it's more easily solved than the racetracks and the gaming companies like to pretend. There were 2 of them. So Velocity was 8-1 when the field was in the gate for Sunday's 7th race. Went off at 7-2, and of course won. Paid $9.80. So his odds were more than cut in half, pretty much after the gates opened. I'm not saying they were betting after the gates opened, but the next odds change was after the gates opened. And then the Sunday's 9th race, not as big of a cut, but Maduro was 9-2 when the field was in the gate and went off at 5-2, and of course won. And this sours so many people. And I gotta give a major shout out to Naira for, a lot of people would say this is the bare minimum, but it's something where they cut off win betting with 2 minutes to post, and there's just such a peace of mind about that. When I'm betting on the win end, like, I don't have to try to wait until a millisecond before the horses go in the gate, and even sometimes that's not enough. I have the peace of mind where I can analyze the odds for the last minute or 2, and then be able to make an informed decision and not worry about my odds getting cut in half. Sam, this is a really tricky situation, because we need the CAW wagering to a certain extent in the pools, otherwise handle is going to absolutely plummet. But I mean, what do you think can be realistically done about this beyond what Naira's doing?
Well, I think what Naira is doing, like you said, is just game changing, because there's so many times that you don't want to bet a horse. Well, I don't want to bet a horse if I don't know what price they're going to be. And that's hard to bet at Del Mar, at least in the win pools with something like that, the whips pools with those, because you don't know, and it can make a huge difference. And so with Naira, like you said, you have a little bit of sense of ease now. You can look at your double wheel pays. Like, that gives you such a guide, and you can tell when horses are going to take a hit. But there are some things that, especially if there's a huge long shot price that wins before that race, that kind of will skew the pools a little bit. And it's frustrating, and it's hard to explain to people who don't see it every day. I think, like, last year, my sister bet Sierra Leone in the Kentucky Derby and was like, why did his odds change? And, like, trying to explain that, like, somebody's 10 years old, is tough to explain, because it just doesn't make any sense.
And it's, I mentioned this before on the show, but it's going to be a major turnoff for new bettors who are used to betting sports and getting fixed odds. The second something like that happens to them, they're going to be like, screw this. Like, this is not worth it. And I think that it's something we really have to worry about as we try to bring in new bettors. And I think the two tracks where I've seen it where it's the worst, and maybe I just noticed it because they're really big pools, is Del Mar and Keeneland. Keeneland had a bunch of late odds drops winners this spring meet. I've seen it a ton before. I was talking about when Shea Pierre won that race last spring. I think it was the Maker's Mark Mile or whatever. I bet him loading in the gate at 23-1, and he won at 9-1. And I've never been more disappointed to cash a 9-1 winner in my life. And it's just it's a shitty feeling. You cash a bet and you feel like you lost. And I think it affects the exotic pools a little bit as well, because if you looked at Del Mar on Sunday and some of the prices that they had, the pick 4 paid 3 out of 4, but the pick 5 hit. I think there were multiple tickets that hit the pick 5. So some of these big groups can really spread in a way that others can't. And that's part of the game. It's fine. There's syndicates, and wagering syndicates have been around forever, but it just increasingly feels like an uphill battle to try to get fair value against some of these computer groups. And, late money is always going to be a thing. I think that's part of handicapping. If late money comes in, you have to be able to adjust to it is the thing. You can't feel like you were blindsided. And that's what I think players feel like more and more these days.
It's very frustrating, and it's frustrating when you're like, well, or even this exactas will get corrected sometimes, and you're like, how does this happen? It should be paying 42, and then it gets cut in half by the time it's all said and done with the price changes and whatnot. So it is very frustrating. I think Naira's on the right track with it. I wish that more tracks would kind of follow suit, at least with that. I mean, or cut them out a minute before. Like just something, Yeah.
Don't make it a surprise when the gates open what the odds are going to be.
It's easy to lose in this game. Like you want people to win because then they come back.
Yeah. They're the ones churning and keeping the game going. Yep. Yeah. No, we got to keep that churn going and stop with the late odds drops just as best as you can. Like I said, it's something as small as what Naira did. It makes a big impact. Yeah. Rail Talk is sponsored by Fasig-Tipton. The Fasig-Tipton July digital sale is wrapping up today as we record, but there's another digital sale soon around the corner in August from October 21st through 26th. Entries close August 11th. So if you didn't get involved in this digital sale, definitely get involved in the next one. It's the wave of the future, and there's no better place to find your next turnkey horse than at digital.fasig-tipton.com. As we mentioned earlier, the yearling sales season kicked off with the July sale, which was a smashing success. And then the Saratoga sale is right around the corner, August 4th and 5th. Up at Saratoga Springs. We'll be there. Patty and I, John, the team, will be recording our 100th show up at Fasig-Tipton. Cannot wait for that. Appreciate the team at Fasig for letting us record there. Promise to clean up after ourselves. And it's going to be great. We're going to have a lot of great guests and great pop-ins. So definitely looking forward to that, as well as obviously the sale itself. Catalog is online right now. The catalog for the New York bred yearling sale, which is the following week, August 10th and 11th. Also online now. It's a big time of year for Fasig. It's all the hype at Saratoga and everybody being so excited. It's going to be great to see at the Saratoga sale all the pomp and circumstance, and obviously those fabulous yearlings. Shout out to the team at Fasig. See you soon. So we are so thrilled to bring this next guest to the Rail Talk studio. He is the executive director and the lead chaplain of the New York Racetrack Chaplaincy, Reverend Humberto Chavez. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joe. Good to be here, Sam. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So glad to have you. So for those that don't know, the kind of the centerpiece of the charitable schedule of all the events at Saratoga is coming up, which is the Racetrack Chaplaincy Brunch, which will be Wednesday, August 13th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Saratoga National Golf Club. It's a great event, super well attended every year, raises a lot of great money for a lot of programs that you guys help facilitate. But for someone who hasn't been there, Humberto, can you just tell the audience a little bit about what to expect, what the show is like, and what the money goes towards?
Great. Just give you a little bit of history of it. Ann Campbell, who was the wife of the late Cott Campbell, came to us. This goes back probably about 20 years ago. And she said, hey, let's make an event that everybody kind of knows that they're supporting a cause. And the chaplaincy has a great cause that gives back to the backstretch community and shares God's love to everyone. Let's do something. And it started really with only I remember that day with only about 30 ladies in attendance, and it was just a tea and some crumpets. So it was fun. And they said, let's keep it casual. Let's keep it right as soon as training is done, or just before that. And since then, it's taken off, right? To the point where in the past several years, we've honored somebody who really gives back. Not necessarily time and effort, but really gives back to the horse racing community, and particularly to us, the New York backstretch. So we've honored an individual every single year. This year we have John Velasquez and his wife, Leona Velasquez, who will be receiving the honorary painting that we do, which is all in their hands. That's a painting from Tom Chapman from California, former jockey, now an artist. So we kind of tie that together. It's a really fun event where everybody from horse racing, I would say the cream of the crop is there, and you can rub elbows with jockeys, Hall of Famers, trainers, owners, and have a really neat breakfast per se, and give back, not necessarily the whole wine and dine type of thing, right? Which is at night, it's long, we got to get dressed up for that. Like the original ladies, which they named themselves the Brigades, really head steered this to the point where it's at right now. So we're very laid back. You've been there, and you could see that it's an event that it's for the cause, nothing else, no bells and whistles attached to it. And we bring the component to the honoring, because I think we need to give honor where honors due, right? So that's what you get at the brunch, which is pretty awesome. We do it at the National Golf Course in Saratoga. Beautiful scenery if you've never been there. And time to just, lay back a little bit, hang out, and support the great causes that our programs have for the New York backstretch community.
Talk about how important it is, just the chaplaincy in general, because I think a lot of people from the outside in racing kind of forget that a lot of these people don't have families around, or they don't have that sense of community on the backside. But the chaplaincy, it brings everybody together. It kind of gives you a home away from home.
Absolutely. We understand it very well at the chaplaincy, where we need to make sure that we bridge that gap of either the learning curve of the community that they're heading to, whether it's Saratoga, Queens, New York, next to Aqueduct, or Elmont, right next door, where we come alongside them and make sure that every single aspect of their needs is somewhat met. We have a great safety net of foundations and organizations in New York. I think it's top class, but the chaplaincy comes in like a trusted brother that comes alongside and says, hey, you should be doing this. Be careful with that. And faith ties into all that as well, right? So they rely a lot on their faith when it comes down to remembering or missing their homeland or their family. So we come in, our programs come alongside them just really nurture and cultivate the relationships and the friendships and the fellowship that we have here in our backstretch community. So all our programs are intended for that, so that you're not in an island by yourself, which you could be in this industry. But we pull you we pull you in and say, hey, come join us for bingo. Come join us for the water painting classes, and so on. So, and our gatherings, right, which we do have non-denominational worships every Monday at Belmont and Aqueduct. So those are other components to just make sure that we unite our community and let them know that there's somebody here who prays for them and obviously wants the best for them and every aspect of the word.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think kind of what sets you guys apart is the depth of your programs and who you take care of. It's not just the members of the backstretch community in terms of the people who work for the horsemen and with the horsemen. It's also their families as well. And that has to me, just from looking from the outside, you have to take on a lot, I would think, to help people's families. You got to do mentoring. You got to do, food pantry services, help with unemployment. And, just you tell me, like, how deep does it go? How wide does it go when you have to not just be there for the individuals themselves, but their families?
It goes deep, in which there's things that I can't comment, but we've gone out of the country just how deep it is to make sure that family is good. And we have our sponsors, our supporters, that allow us to do that without no holds bar, right? We're really looking for the family, the individuals to be well. So there's no barriers for us to kind of go out into whether the community or out of the country, just to make sure the families are well and taken care of. Such as our annual thing, which is our back to school program, which we give out 250 backpacks filled with tailored to that kid. That kid last year was going to first grade. This year he's going to second grade. And there's more stuff added to it. So we tailored to that kid to make sure that he will be successful in the first couple of days in school. And mom and dad could be concerned about other things, right? Like paying rent, like making ends meet for their family. So we go beyond the gates and into every aspect of their lives.
So tell us about the auction that I hear you have two pretty special guests that are going to be hosting it.
Yes, John and Joe will be our auctioneers, and it's an auction, but it's more call to action, right? There are various programs that we need support. One of them, the food pantry, which every week there's hundreds of people that come out and receive food, and it's been a blessing. Through COVID was an essential blessing, right? And now after COVID, with inflation and everything going up in prices, it's a real necessity for our community. And once again, their extended families. So we're grateful to have them, and it's going to be fun. And I think they're going to bring a really good spin to this call to action, and probably call out people out there to really action to take action to those programs that we will be auctioning an opportunity for people to be part of those.
Everyone's on notice. John and I know a lot of you guys. We'll be exhorting plenty of bids. So yeah, we can't wait to do that and to be part of that. So yeah, we're super excited as well. I wanted to ask you real quickly about the new facility that you guys have at Belmont. This was in October 2023. You opened a new chaplaincy center, 3,500 foot multi-purpose building and chapel. First of all, congratulations on getting that done, because I know that took a lot of hard work and a lot of generosity from a lot of people. But what are some of the things that you guys are able to do now with the new facility that you weren't able to necessarily do before?
Well, we thank all our sponsors and our founding partners that made that happen, right, and possible. And obviously Naira, who welcomed the idea and made sure it started and it ended. And we're open now. And it has just brought a different sense, a different feeling when people come in. They feel that this is home for us. We could come here at a safe place with more room out of the two trailers that we used to work out of to a facility. It's definitely more leg room available to them. But that obviously also brings forth new programs, such as the sewing class program that has, it's amazing how these ladies continue to amaze me of as they break their cocoons in various aspects, to even learning how to sew. Some of these ladies have never learned how to sew, and they're taking this opportunity, and men too. So it's not only ladies. I've been shocked that I've seen men learning how to sew, and they're doing, bags and so on. And also other opportunities such as watercolor painting, which in my realm of mind, I'm like, watercolor painting, yeah, sure, anybody could do that. Well, there's a science to it, and there's a theory and a science and how to blend and mix. And you have to see these paintings of these guys and gals who've really taken that opportunity of this program to really be creative in their work and translating that to a piece of paper. This at our brunch, you will see there'll be a display of what these programs have done in the past a year and a half. So come out and take a look at those wall displays of these individuals who really taking the opportunity to be part of these programs. So that's just some part of so many different things that we're doing out of the building. So we're grateful that the building is here and is available to everybody, whether outside community or NYRA. We've kind of opened doors to anybody who needs a meeting room and all that. So it's not ours. It's the backstretch community's building. So.
So outside of horse racing, Joe already knows this. Basketball is my other favorite topic to talk about. And tell us about the charity basketball game.
Wow. I'm hoping in some way that it will, the goal of the basketball game is to be picked up by ESPN, right? or any other outfit out there, and it could be televised because it's such a fun event where you have these athletes playing with these. Some athletes, some are not
athletic-ish people
who run up and down the court, just trying to make ends meet and try to score, to these fast-paced jockeys that are scoring left and right. But it's such a great event. This year we have, first time ever, our coach Kenny McPeak will be coaching the trainers.
Nice.
And he'll be coaching with former trainer Rich Schosberg alongside. And for the jockeys, we're going to have Angel Cordero coach the team jockeys. And then there's a couple of other special guests coming along. But it's an opportunity for others to get to know what we're doing as well. Through this event, we stuff these backpacks with school items. So this event is really just tailored for our back to school program. And we just seen it and we've done it and we continue to do it. And then portions of the earnings will go over to the PDJF. And I think that's just important to keep that community also healthy, who have given so much, and to a lot of jockeys just have given their lives because of what they do. So we give a portion to those earnings to the PDJF. So, but it's going to be really fun.
It's phenomenal. It's Wednesday, August 6th at 7 p.m. And Manny Franco, if you're listening, if you could cross somebody over real good and make them fall and then hit a 3, I think we could get on SportsCenter top 10. And that'll be the first step to televising the charity basketball game. So, yeah, it's August 6th at 7 p.m. And then following Wednesday at 10 a.m. is the Racetrack Chaplaincy brunch from 10 to 12. Hope to see you guys there. I know I'll see Humberto there, and I'll see a lot of other listeners and viewers there. But it's a terrific, terrific event. And if you want to know more about the Racetrack Chaplaincy and all the programs, go to nyrtca.org. Go check them out. Go donate. And, help raise awareness, because, Humberto, I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I appreciate you coming on the show and chatting with us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. See you soon. Rail Talk is sponsored by Arian Pedigrees. Shout out to the team at Arian. You should go check them out. The website says Australia and New Zealand's leading thoroughbred pedigree provider, but as far as we're concerned, they're the world's leading thoroughbred pedigree provider. You can go check them out for sire reports, for sire and mare crosses, mare breeding reports, sales statistics, stake starters, overall winners, first crop stallions, who's at the top of that list, second crop stallions. They are the they're the resource. They are the repository for anything you want to know on the Pedigree side when it comes to planning your matings or handicapping. If you ever see some of those pedigrees that we pop up during the video version of our shows when we're talking about, curtain call or Ewing or Sandman, those pedigrees come from our friends at Arian, and they're unmatched in the depth of the information that you get. They're interactive, so they have links that you can pop over to another page, and they just are a phenomenal team to work with, first of all, but a phenomenal resource for the entire industry, and something that is obviously as valuable as anything else when it comes to information gathering and decision making. So go visit them at arion.co.nz, arion.co.nz. Tell them we sent you. Shout out to the whole team. If you want to do any pedigree research at all this summer and fall, go to Arion. They'll take care of you. All right, so before we wrap for today, we have the foremost Oklahoma City Thunder fan in the nation with us right now. So first of all, we said it on the show, but congratulations, Sam, on that championship. That must have been a hell of a night. Take us through it.
It was a lot of fun. It was like such a crazy journey the last few months, and it was very exciting to finally be crowned champions. I know that's a feeling that you're not very familiar with, but it's all right. I will share it with you. Everybody can be a Thunder fan, but it was really fun. They're such a young team. We're going to get them all back next year. The big three, they've signed their contracts, huge ones, to stay for a little bit longer in OKC. And it was, I don't know, did you get to see any of the parade footage? It was so awesome.
Well, that's the thing. But I was gonna bust your chops a little bit about that, because some of the parade footage I saw, it didn't seem like that many people. Is that just because it's Oklahoma City is a smaller city? Yeah. Because there was some where Shea was like going over the crowd, and it looked like a sports movie where they were doing a championship parade scene, and they only could afford like 3 rows of extras, and there was nobody else. So tell me about that. Like, was that fake news? Was it well attended?
What was it
like?
Yeah, now I don't have the exact numbers. I could tell you the Haskell numbers, but I couldn't tell you the parade numbers. But yeah, there were a ton of people there. I had so many friends and family members that were out, and they had a fantastic time. I think just the way that the parade was set up, there were certain angles. You can manipulate anything in the media, and they just kind of manipulated like certain angles. But also, we're not in New York City. We're in Oklahoma City, so it looks a bit different. But what I thought was really cool was that, and like the mayor had said this, David Holt, he was like, we didn't, when they got out of the buses, because all of them just ditched the buses and started just running around with the crowd. They were like, oh man, we didn't have security planned for this. But it's just really cool. And that's the atmosphere in Oklahoma City, which is, it's fun.
And young and have a lot of draft picks, and you are going to go very quickly from being the plucky upstart to the hated dynasty. I hope you're prepared for that.
That's totally fine. Unfortunately, the Halliburton thing was not something that you want to see in the first quarter of the game. You want it to be fair. You want to see people healthy and play to their best, but again, he knew the risks going in playing, and when you're a multi-million-dollar paid athlete, you give it your all, and it's unfortunate for him that happened, and I wish it wasn't like that, but we shouldn't put an asterisk next to this 2025 title at all.
No, you wear that crown, girl.
I got it.
Wear it with pride.
I got it.
Oh, you got the shirt too. Yeah. It's filling in for John with a plum because he's always got merch too. So, Sam Perry, thanks for coming on and spending time with us. This was a lot of fun. Always appreciate you. Appreciate Humberto Chavez for stopping by and talking a little bit about the Racetrack Chaplaincy and the brunch coming up August 13th. Be there or be square. John and I will be there in the hosting capacity. Thank you to our producer, Patty Wolf, and our associate producers, Julia Agresta, Nathan Wilkinson. We'll see you next week back here on Rail Talk.